Hey y'all, my name's Emily Rose. I'm a professional Lenormand and tarot reader. I also teach tarot readers and the mystically minded to read Lenormand like they're talking to a friend. And today, I have a timeless spiritual reading for you. Now, usually I kind of plan out what I'm going to do for the most part, and I have preset questions that I want to ask. I draw cards. But that's not what I did at all for this video. When I recorded this video, I had just finished a full day of client sessions and I was just really tapped in, and I just got the very strong hit that I needed to share a very spiritual reading here on YouTube, which normally I would share things that I think you guys would like, okay, a career reading or financial reading, whatever. But this was a very strong hit that I got. And I kind of have to warn y'all, for some, this might be a little bit of an intense reading. For others, it might be just right and exactly what you're looking for. But if you're looking for like a life, love, and lattes feeling reading, this is not it. I will not be offended if you click away, totally understand. But if you're looking for some real spiritual development at this time, you're looking for some messages that might be slightly controversial, then this is for you. I'm recording this intro after I've already done this whole reading, and what I can say is that it's going to be important for you to first connect into source, or just at least feel centered. So take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, and you can do that anytime. Pause me to do that. Also, what's important to know is that I do talk about altered states here. And in no way am I implying to, take anything to get you there. What I mean by that is meditation. So that's also important to know as you go into it. This reading's going to be a little far out there for some folks, and that's okay. When it comes to how to take this reading, please, please, please use your own intuition with it. This is a reading on YouTube, and as much as I would love to do personalized readings for all of you that are here, these readings tend to be slightly more general because it is for a larger audience. So you're going to get your own hits as you go through here. Please take those hits. Trust in them. Trust in what feels right to you. Use your own intuition and discretion when it comes to these readings. Last but not least, any futures that are talked about in this video are all possible futures. If there's something that arises in this reading that you're not resonating with, there's almost always a way to change or impact things, and that's because I only ask the cards for information that is helpful, actionable, and in your best and highest good. So I ask if something is not helpful to know at this time, it doesn't show up. If you watch this and you want a more personalized reading from me, I am accepting new clients at this time. I will put the link here, emilyrosedivination.com/offerings. Also down in the description, you can find it there as well. This would be a good time to take your deep breaths if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So go ahead and take a deep breath and select the deck that is calling most to you. Which deck keeps returning to your mind? Feel free to pause me and close your eyes and see which deck appears in your mind. Will you choose the Black Salt Lenormand, the Rana George Lenormand, or the Sawyer's Lenormand? Once you have your deck selected, go ahead and put in the comments which one you chose. If you selected the Black Salt Lenormand, this is going to be your reading. What I'm going to do first is channel some messages. Sometimes these come in the form of visions or sentences or mantras, and I automatic write as I channel that, so we'll see what comes up. So the vision I saw for the Black Salt Lenormand folks, the first thing I saw was a table with a spider on it, which I know sounds funky. These always sound really funky, but promise this has a point. What I wrote is table with a spider, nowhere to spin. It's a, what's the word I want? It's not the natural environment for a spider to live. And I definitely got the sense that you are the spider in this vision. There's nowhere for the spider to spin its web in this case. And I wrote open, open, open after that. There needs to be more open spaces. I think of that Faith Hill song, that Wide Open Spaces song. And there needs to be a new place for you to spin your web, essentially. Somewhere more natural, somewhere that's more conducive for who you are as a person. And I tend to see the spider as creative energy. It tends to be a creator of sorts. So this says, go where the flowers are, need greenery, best place to spin your web. So it's important to have a place where you can create, where you can make what you need to make. But I also felt this fear that came in, this fear of creating what it is that you are meant to create, because weather happens, people happen, things happen that can destroy your web, and that fear could be holding you back from creating something that is truly beautiful and is something that others could see and find beauty in and maybe even provide for yourself. So if you're thinking about having, some type of spiritual business or creative business of some kind, this could apply to you in that way. The other thing here is that with the fear is that there's this fear of destruction. That, okay, a spider's web almost always eventually goes away, so why should I spend time creating it? But that's the way the whole universe works, right? I wrote, it all goes away. It all goes away. And that can sound so negative, but it's actually a very freeing thought. There's this sense of freedom that opened up here, because if everything goes away and if we let that fear hold us back, nothing would ever get created. So there's this sense of getting okay with that idea that everything goes away and everything is temporary, everything changes. And that's a really tall order for you to become acquainted with at this time. It's time to accept that all things change. And yet there's still value to add to the world. There's still innate value that you have. And that value can come from your creativity. And the other thing I wrote is it's all created in your image. So anything you create, it's going to be a part of you that you're sharing. And you don't have to share this with everyone. This could just be you creating to see a different side of yourself. And I also wrote, create what is on your heart. What is on your heart to create? You don't have to make it make sense right now. It's simply just taking what is in your heart and bringing it out. And this could be in any art form. This could be writing. This could be spiritual services you offer. This could be drawing. This could be literally anything. And the advice that came up here is designate a space and time for your creations. So maybe you already have a craft, but you're not practicing it at this time because there isn't a designated space and time. And I know we live in a really busy world, but that is the spiritual message for you, is that creativity is a connection to source, to spirit. And this is the time for you to get in touch with that energy and to designate a space and time for you to create and for your creations. So like I said, I am going to just go where I am led from these visions. So the next thing that I'm wondering is, how can you confront that fear? So let's see what Lenormand has to say. How can you integrate or confront that fear? Okay. Tricky, tricky. We got the ship or boat, person, snake, and fox. Lenormand is not holding back here in terms of advice. What I'm seeing here is to shift the perception of who you think you are. It's time to rethink this fixed self that we have. All of us, we kind of shape our identity, and many of us tend to think that's who we are, that's who we always will be. But in actuality, we are so much more than just one fixed identity. And this is asking you, it's a tall order here. It's asking you to take that sense of self and to kind of flip it on its head and to look at it from different angles and almost manipulate what that sense of self is. So the question that I have is, what can anchor us when we are confronting this fear? And let's see what comes up here. We have the Three of Cups. What I'm getting here is the people who celebrate you. People who you feel connected to, people who are maybe on the same wayward journey of you, even if they just are in this comment section, who also commented Black Salt, Lenormand. People to experience this with, so fellow creators, someone who is creating something similar to you. And I also think I'm not alone. That's something else that's coming up. Literally every single person who ever creates anything is in this boat. So I think you can have the mantra, I'm not alone. There's no possible way that you could be alone. I think I got that from Ram Dass, of course. So there's just no way you can be alone at this time. What are you meant to create at this time? And I feel very strongly that I'm supposed to pick 3 piles within this. So truly just listening to what Spirit has to say here, what Source has to say. So what are you meant to create? So this is going to be pile 1. I'm just going to pick the cards like that. Pile 2. And pile 3. 4 cards for you. So go ahead and select pile 1, 2, or 3. And this is answering the question, what are you meant to create? So let's see pile 1. Garden, lilies, and cross. So we have the garden, lilies, and we have the burden card, which is also like the cross in Lenormand. So I love that it's a Tamagotchi in this deck. It's just amazing. So I feel like if you chose pile 1, what you're meant to create at this time is definitely making public the practices, the responsibilities, the things that come with being peaceful. What do you need to do in order to have a peaceful, calm demeanor, and making that public? So for some of you, it might be, I say this mantra. For me, it's saying Ho'oponopono. So I say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I say that over and over and over and over again. Hey, I'm doing this right now by sharing that with you. For others, it could be maybe they draw a particular doodle that they doodle all the time. But definitely, I think this has to do with the public. I think this has to do with sharing it, whether this is on social media or something like that. So that's my primary interpretation of that as well. I could also see making public the difficulties that come with aging. That's another interpretation that comes with that. And I mean, I follow one account where it's I'm forgetting her name, I'll put it in the description, but she takes photos of naked older women as art. It's beautiful art that she does. So that would be an example of this. So definitely the public has to do with this. I would say wisdom, patience, peace, and what do you need to do to achieve that patience and peace, and making that public, making art out of that. This is what you're meant to create if you chose pile 2. Ooh, we have the bear, the clover, and the bouquet. I love this. There's so many directions you can go with this, but the very first thing that came to mind for me is creating food of some kind, something that is like you're putting it all together. You're using your creativity to make food just as you go. You're kind of in your kitchen. I'm thinking of like Chopped, where they get those boxes of random food and they have to make something happen out of that. You could create your own version of Chopped. That's my assignment for you. I see bear can be food here. Another thing you can think of with this too, especially with clover bouquet, it's something pretty and it's something quick. There's not a lot of thinking. This is very serendipitous here. But it's something. Another way to think about the bear too is it's something big. So you could just get yourself like a big canvas of some kind and make something that's that you're just going with it. You're not thinking about it. There's no thinking in this combo here. So that's another idea for what to create. But I very strongly feel like this could be cooking. It could be food of some kind, making something fast, quick, but also making it very pretty too. Last but not least, this is what you're meant to create if you chose pile 3. We have snake, scythe, tower, and child. This is so juicy. There's so many ways to take this, but I'll give you a few ideas. One that I'm coming up with for this is to take something that is perhaps seemingly innocuous, but is actually kind of damaging, cutting it up, disfiguring it in some way, and creating something new from it, elevating it to create something new. And an example of that would be maybe taking literal magazines of things that may be harmful. I'm thinking things like diet culture, beauty standards that don't serve the majority of people, literally taking them, cutting them up, and elevating that into something that is new and different. So that's one possible way to take this, right? And this is creative. We don't know where it's going to go. This whole reading is creative. Another idea could be taking an idea, a seemingly innocuous idea, something that isn't quite what it seems, and bringing awareness to it, raising it to the top, elevating it, showing people, showing the systems, and creating a new paradigm with that. So those are just some ideas for what you're meant to create. The last few things that I want to ask, if you chose the black salt Lenormand pile, I want to ask the question, what will be your ally through this? Ooh, resolution. I'm going to also pick a tarot card for that too. Whoa, we're going to go with that. Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, I like that. And then I want to ask, what should we stay away from? So what will not be helpful to you? This is usually something you're tempted to go towards, but that will not actually be helpful. Okay. King of Wands and Seven of Swords. Okay. And then the last thing I want to ask is, what will be a helpful mantra for you to come back to? Moon reversed. So the card that we drew from the Modern Nirvana Oracle, which is a current deck I'm obsessed with right now, we have resolution. And the way that I think about this is uniting the different parts of yourself. So I think your ally will be understanding that there are these disparate parts of yourself, and that, you know, there's the shadow in the background. That's kind of what I'm attracted to on this card in particular. And also using your imagination to unite these different parts of yourself. And it doesn't have to make perfect sense logically, but it's important to feel that inner resolution, that inner knowing that these different parts of you can combine and that there is this light, there is this dark, and you're multifaceted. You're like a crystal that you can spin, and it's all one thing. So kind of coming to terms with the different parts of yourself. And then the other part of this that we get to is a Wheel of Fortune. We don't know what we're going to get. And that's the whole point of creativity and, in my opinion, spirituality. You know, in this reading, this whole reading, I'm walking into the unknown. I don't know what questions I'm going to ask when I start. I don't know where this reading's going. And that's part of the excitement. That's part of the fun. That's why we like things like gambling and, you know, things like that. We don't know what the outcome's going to be. So when it comes to what your ally's going to be, this is adventure. It's fun. It's, you know, there is a chance that it might not work out. That's, you know, but without that, we don't have that thrill. So this, I'm kind of getting the sense of thrill. And also luck is a bit on your side with the Wheel of Fortune, but also it's this idea of uniting these different parts of yourself, and that whatever you're going to create, it's going to help you come to a different understanding of these different parts of yourself. Okay, what to avoid? So these two cards together make me feel like strategizing to create your kingdom. I think of the King of Wands as the self-made king. He got himself there. So using these creative endeavors, I mean, we live in capitalism, so this happens all the time, where we want to, everything has to have a reason why we're doing it. But here we are in a spiritual reading, and so what this is saying is avoid strategizing and doing things the most efficient and effective way to create your own kingdom. So an example of this could be, I have to start monetizing this right away. I have to start creating something that has all these structures in place so I can make this more efficiently next time. That's not what we're focusing on right now. We're interested in moving that creative energy. We're interested in playing with it. We're interested in the mystery of it. So this is not the time to create your kingdom with this. Sure, this can be something you do later. It's just not with this particular endeavor. You don't have to do things in the best strategic, most efficient way possible right now. It's about the creativity. And with the moon reversed, I asked for a mantra. And one of the questions that comes up for me when it comes to this is, what am I neglecting that is trying to emerge? What am I neglecting that is trying to emerge? I've been reading Elliot Oracle's book, Fearless Tarot. It is such a fabulous book, and I actually pulled the moon reverse the other day. So it's funny, it's coming up in this way again. And that is one of the topics that came up in his book. It's this idea of, sometimes we suppress what we are truly feeling. We're suppressing those parts of ourselves because it's inconvenient to society and to the world that we live in and to our life that we have built. But this is your outlet. This whole reading is getting at, okay, let's have a creative outlet, whether it's cooking, it's chopping up magazines and creating a beautiful mosaic out of it, whatever it is for you. What feeling is trying to emerge for you right now? And also, how can I nurture that? How can I bring that out to the surface so it doesn't lay dormant in me and cause trouble? Because that's what the moon reversed can do. So you have something that is meant to come out at this time. Now is the time to do it. If you enjoyed this reading and you are looking for a more personalized reading, looking into your own life, into specific situations, life purpose, general direction, things like that, then you are welcome to request a reading with me. I am accepting new clients at this time. You can request it at emilyrosedivination.com/offerings. I've also linked it down below in the description. In terms of what you can expect from a reading, sometimes they do go to this direction where it's just so spiritual in nature, depending on where you're at. Sometimes they get really granular too, and we can really dig into specific situations in your life. Just depends on what you're looking for and what comes through in the reading. I would love to know what you thought of this video. How did this resonate for you? And do you want more videos like this on this channel? I would love to know. I felt like this almost wasn't even a choice for me. I felt like Spirit Source just kind of grabbed me and was like, hey, you need to do this today. So I did. But if you want more of this type of video, if you want more readings like this, let me know. That would be very helpful to get a sense of how you resonated with it. And I think others that are watching this, it would be great to know how it's resonating for others as well. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you chose the Rana George deck, then this reading is for you. I'm first going to go ahead and just channel a message. Sometimes these are visions, mantras, statements. We'll just see what comes through. So this is very, very spiritual, which is what we signed up for with this reading. So what I felt when I tuned into the Ron George pile and I asked the question, what does Source, Spirit, God, whatever you believe, want to communicate to those that chose this? And here I wrote up high. The first thing I felt was being very, very, very high up in the sky, even higher than like a plane, barely able to see what's down on the ground, if barely at all. And I saw that you were looking down and you were kind of swirling your hands over top of everything, almost giving it like a blessing, almost feeling like you are feeling the depths, the compassion, the pain, the hurt, everything that's a part of being human, being able to be so high up that you are able to see it all happening below you, and having the compassion for just like what it is, what it means to be a human being and how challenging and how beautiful it is. And I wrote, get up here. That's your job right now. Your job is to find that place of peace, of non-duality, understanding that good and evil are not just a pure binary things. Yes, there is good. Yes, there is evil. They're two sides of the same coin. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you strongly disagree with what I'm saying, I understand. But from that place up there, you're able to see the complete picture. And you're able to touch the divine up there. I also wrote altered states. Please don't go and do anything illegal from this video or anything that may be harmful to yourself. I'm not asking that, but maybe doing like a theta meditation, doing some type of meditation where you're going into a different vibration, doing that type of work right now, I feel like could be really fruitful for you. I also wrote out-of-body dreams. So you may already be experiencing a lot of out-of-body type things. Maybe you're literally experiencing out-of-body experiences when you dream. Maybe you're having dreams that feel very real or feel like you're in another realm, or you're wanting to induce that in some way. That all makes sense with where you're at. Here's the thing, when you're up that high and when you are at a vibration that is so high like that, it may not make any sense at all to our human logical brain, but the spiritual part of us knows what it is and it feels like home. So you may have this disparity, this kind of feeling of things making sense and then things not making sense. And I wrote, it's okay. It is okay if things don't make perfect sense in our human brains. It may make sense when you're in that altered state, like, you know, in a meditation, but it may not make sense when you come back, and that's totally normal. What's important at this stage is have compassion for the human part of ourselves and know that there's always a part of us that lives up there. There's always a part of us that is connected to source, that is connected to spirit, that is connected to love and compassion and understanding all parts of humanity and beyond. And that is the point of all of this right now, is to be connected to that part of ourself. I wrote breath of spirit. So this is a time where you're kind of given that gift of feeling, I call it the breath of spirit, but anytime you're feeling a breeze, anytime you're doing work where you are feeling connected, anytime you are in meditation, anytime you're reading cards, anytime you're doing any of that, try to feel the breath of spirit. And you can play with that in any way you want. It also said breathe it down into anything you do. Breathe it down into anything you do. It's important to infuse things that you're doing, interactions you have, whether it's an interaction with a bank teller at the, you know, with a cashier, with someone who flipped you off in traffic, with your dearest friend, with family, anyone that is. Try to feel that breath of spirit, and it's going to mean different things for every single person watching this. It means something different for me than it's going to mean for you. This is a spiritual reading, so not everything is going to make sense to the logical mind. Not all of it's going to be directly applied to exactly the life that we're leading at this moment. These are concepts to play with. These are experiential things that can't, frankly, be explained by a reading on YouTube. But my hope is that this prompts some exploration, and it widens and expands your consciousness. And that is what you are doing here. Wow, this is a big reading. Really, 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 really big reading. Get up here, find an altered state through meditation is probably the safest. If you're not having out-of-body experiences, dreams, I bet you will be soon. Whew, what a reading, man. Okay, let's see what is coming up here. Let's see what question wants to surface. The question that was coming up as this flipped out was, how can you reach the sublime states? How can you reach that state of that altered state where you can be up there, where you can be in the sky, where you can feel the breath of spirit? Okay. So we have sun, incense burner, snake. Then we also have the stars and the anchor. And I'll pull these down here. For this particular reading, I feel like this is echoing the vision where we're talking about, you know how I mentioned like good and evil are two sides of the same coin. Feel free to, like I said, feel free to disagree with me on that if you want. But what I mean by that, what I'm really getting at for what it means for your life and our existence just generally as people, is that it's time to stretch beyond the idea that things are good or bad. What this is saying here, we have the sun, which is the ultimate good card, and then we have the snake, which is, you know, bad, right? We see something as good, we see something as bad, and then we have the incense burner in between, which to me is clearing. It's like, let's clear these two concepts. This is not what we're doing right now. We're not putting things in one camp or the other, and it's asking you to expand beyond that with the stars here and to root in that. Expand beyond the ideas of good and bad and root in that. And what this is for is not to excuse behavior, actions, concepts, beliefs, ideologies that do not have people's best and highest good in mind. It's not to excuse that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not so people don't face consequences for things. What this is for is for your expansion as a spiritual being. And to see that we cannot judge literally anybody. We can't. And what I see with this is that by expanding yourself beyond that, you're able to reach heights that you would have never been able to reach prior to that. And this is for your spiritual growth and to reach a new level of comfort and security than you have ever experienced in your life. The way to do this is to spend time in this middle and expand beyond that. Remember, in the vision, we went up high. We went up so high, in past the clouds, past all of that, to see everything for what it is. We're almost not even in human form in that place. And that's what I'm talking about here. This is a very tall order, and a lot of people watching this, probably this won't make sense. But if this is the first time you're hearing this concept, then maybe it's planting a seed in some form. And maybe if you're already down the pathway, you've already been playing with the idea of non-duality, then maybe this will be another breadcrumb towards your journey on that. So my next question is, how can we practice non-duality in our life? So in your day-to-day life, which I always feel like Lenormand is fantastic at, how can you practice the concept of non-duality? Let's see what comes up. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm getting for how to practice non-duality in your day-to-day life. So if you take an event, a surface level thing that happens, and it's saying just almost even forget the surface layer event that occurred. So let's say someone flipped you off in traffic. Let's say that's the event. Okay, that's what happened. If we just take that on the surface, we might say, wow, that person's a real jerk, right? But what this is asking us to do, that's kind of the bouquet. It's the thing on the surface. It's the thing that's apparent. It's the thing that's there. We have the coffin. It's like, let's do away with that. We're doing away with that. Just put it away, put it to bed. And then we have whip and we have the fox. So I think this first part is talking about an event that happened, but doing away with the surface, right? Then when we start looking at the latter half of things, then what we begin to see here is looking at the multiplicity of ways that things could happen and looking at really the marketplace of previous experiences that could have led to this event. And it's our job to take whatever might have happened and look at it in a variety of different ways through different avenues. And we're going to have to kind of engineer this. This is not going to be commonplace for us. So if we're talking about someone flipping us off in traffic, right? Let's just say that's what happened. That's the event that happened. What could have happened to that person that day for that event to happen to them and to you, right? So they flip you off in traffic. Maybe, like, I'm just throwing out ideas. It's like, okay, maybe they just got fired. Maybe maybe their life feels like a pressure cooker and there's no release valve. And they're just trying to get home and all of this stuff happened and it just happened to them. Maybe they learned that that's how you drive, right? Maybe one of their parents modeled that for them, right? There's so many different possibilities for what could have happened here, right? And then also, how far away are you really from taking that same action, right? Flipping someone off in traffic. How far away are you really from that, right? What would have needed to happen to you that day for you to be in that place, right? What thoughts would you need to be thinking? Also, looking at how far back this goes too, right? Maybe you can't get there thinking of how you would have done that in a day. But what if this happened to you? What if something happened to you, you know, the last week and you've had a horrible week and this is just the last straw, right? You can look at this in so many different ways. And I'm not even beginning to scratch the surface of this. And the point of this being is that you're not excusing that person from their actions, right? So if someone does something to you, they cut you off traffic, they flip you off, whatever. That's not saying that that's like okay, right? But what that is doing is freeing you from the suffering of judgment. When that happens, you are able to reach greater heights, which is what the vision was all about in terms of your spirituality. What can anchor us through this? What can anchor us? Because this is some deep stuff that we deal with as humans. This is not easy to navigate. What can anchor us? Okay. 6 of Wands reversed. And Temperance. Ooh. What I'm getting here with what will anchor you with, you know, 6 of Wands, Temperance, is to find that sense of inner peace, of balance in mind, body, and spirit, is to realize that if we live for the accolades and praise of others, we're probably not going to get there, right? And the path to finding this inner peace and balance is through letting go of needing that approval and instead going in our own direction. I mean, if you think about anyone you admire, they probably went against the grain at some point. And I feel like this is the time in your life to go against the grain. I feel like this is the time to figure out what you need for inner peace, what you need to feel balanced, and to let go of what is expected of you and what others expect of you and what will make you receive approval from others, and instead going the direction that feels the most aligned for you. I feel like we need a helper card because we're social creatures, man. We like to have support, and it's baked into us as a survival technique. So we're going against human nature a little bit here. So let's see what will be our ally in this pursuit. Strength. Wow. I really see this as searching the different parts of ourself, looking at the different parts of ourself, you know, the lion as part of ourself, finding ways to work with it, right? We're finding ways to tame it and work with it and integrate it into our experience and our being. And if this is a major arcana card, and this card, whoo, is it tough, right? And I just love that infinite, like the infinity sign above her head. It's like our strength is infinite. You always have strength to tap into. That is our helper card, is knowing that you have this within you. If you are watching this video, I assume you're a pretty spiritual person and you're in pursuit of finding that next level of spirituality for yourself in terms of your inner peace and how you feel day to day. And this is saying that's the next step. is to really explore this idea of not having that approval from others, of non-duality, of turning experiences, looking at it, of altered states. And you have it within you to do all of that. Okay, I'm going to leave you with an overall focus card. This is something that you can kind of rest on. For some of you, this is going to be a mantra. For some of you, it's going to be literally maybe where you direct your energy. Let's see what comes up for you. Resolution. You know what's funny is this came up for the Black Salt Lenormand folks too. And this makes a lot of sense why this came up again. Because on this card, what I see here is multiple parts of yourself. It's about resolving the different parts that are within you. This must be the collective message right now, especially with strength. This reminds me a lot of strength. It's about unifying all those different parts of ourselves and knowing that they can all exist together, and it's okay. There's a shadow side, there's a light side, and there's so many different ways to see things. I like this veil in front. I just feel like this card is connecting everything together. I also love the hand on the heart, which I didn't really notice before. I think that's on the heart chakra there. And so what I'm kind of seeing from this is that getting okay with the different parts of ourselves and knowing that, oh, here's a fun phrase, that everyone is really part of us. From the most despicable people to the best, I'm using air quotes, best people in the world. We are everybody. And it's really about resolving those different parts of ourself that maybe feel in conflict, and knowing that maybe resolving it is just letting them be in conflict with each other. And maybe the way that we resolve it is just kind of letting those parts agree to disagree with each other, right? And knowing it's okay, that not everything has to be in perfect harmony all the time. That, you know, some things are part of the land and some things are part of the sea, right? And that's okay. They don't have to be one thing, but we are one thing. It's all a part of us. I'll let you play with those phrases as much as you want. This is a spiritual reading. Okay, so that's what I have for the Rana George folks. If you enjoyed this reading and you are looking for a more personalized reading, looking into your own life, into specific situations, life purpose, general direction, things like that, then you are welcome to request a reading with me. I am accepting new clients at this time. You can request it at emilyrosedivination.com/offerings. I've also linked it down below in the description. In terms of what you can expect from a reading, sometimes they do go to this direction where it's just so spiritual in nature, depending on where you're at. Sometimes they get really granular too, and we can really dig into specific situations in your life. Just depends on what you're looking for and what comes through in the reading. I would love to know what you thought of this video. How did this resonate for you? And do you want more videos like this on this channel? I would love to know. I felt like this almost wasn't even a choice for me. I felt like Spirit Source just kind of grabbed me and was like, hey, you need to do this today. So I did. But if you want more of this type of video, if you want more readings like this, let me know. That would be very helpful to get a sense of how you resonated with it. And I think others that are watching this, it would be great to know how it's resonating for others as well. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Last but not least, we have the Sawyer's Lenormand folks. And what I'm going to do to start is go ahead and just channel and see what comes through. Could be visions, mantras, statements, sayings, anything like that. And then we will see what the cards have to say. Okay, for Sawyer's Lenormand folks, here's what I'm getting. That's if you selected this deck here. I first experienced this almost like wind from the side, which is kind of my symbol for unexpected events. Is that you're going to kind of get a mixed bag of things. There's going to be things that you may perceive as good, things that you may perceive as bad. It's things that are neutral. It's a totally mixed bag of events that are happening. I drew these arrows like they're coming through, and I almost felt like letting it flow through you, like what's something that has a lot of holes in it, like Swiss cheese or a colander or something like that. Just letting these events flow through you. Doing that without an expectation of what to expect. I know that's hard, right? So I feel like if you haven't already experienced events that felt very unpredictable to you, they just kind of felt like they're out of left field, I feel like you might soon. But the thing about that is I don't think this is anything to be scared of in any way, because it felt like the idea behind all of this is to see what catches for you. I think the idea of a colander makes more sense. Some things might flow right through it, right? Or like you're trying to catch things with a net, right? Some things you might not catch. You might not catch it. But then some things you might catch. And the idea here is to treasure whatever it is that you catch from it, right? So if something happens, maybe you find out there's a reshuffling at work. That's an example, right? There's a reshuffling at work and it's like, oh my gosh, right? There can be that frenzy, that frenetic things. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's just an example. Something that you might catch from that is, oh, now all of a sudden I'm doing this person's job and I kind of wanted to get a promotion anyway, doing that job. This isn't how I wanted to do it, but okay, right? You're catching something from that. And then maybe just saying, this is what's happening now. It could be something that maybe you perceive as negative too, right? But the idea is, what are you catching from that, and can you treasure it? That's a really hard thing to do, especially when it's something we didn't expect to catch, that we didn't want to catch, but here it is. And I kind of think of it as like, I wrote jewels, bugs, you don't know what you're going to catch, but can you find a way to treasure it? The other thing here is that it's okay to send your hopes up to whatever is falling from the sky into your net, right? It's okay to send up what it is that you're hoping for, what it is that you're desiring. But the key here is to not be attached to the expectations, to not be attached to the outcome. And I get that that's hard. I struggle with this. But it's about sending them up, and you are going to get something back. It just may not be the way that you expect. And that's being a human, right? That is being a human. It's also okay if you don't catch everything. This reminds me of Pokemon. I said, you don't have to catch it all. You don't have to be Pokemon, right? You can just let things fall that you can't catch at that time. And that's okay, right? Things will continue to come for you. Things will continue to appear in your life. Different events will continue to happen. You don't have to make the most out of absolutely everything. But the things that you do catch, the things that you find sitting on your lap and you're like, I don't know how this got here or why this is here, find the light in it. Find a way to treasure it. And if you can find a way to treasure that, you can find the light in any situation. So now I'm thinking, like, if this was my poll, what would I be wondering after this? We always want to know what to expect. And as a fortune teller, I can't help but ask that question. What do I need? Is there anything I can prepare for? Like, you know, which slightly defeats this, but not really. So I'm going to ask, for our best and highest good, what can we expect? Okay, there we go. And what can we expect? Let's just start there. Okay. So that's one part of my question. What can we expect? And then the other part is, how can we best prepare ourselves? I think I'm going to use tarot for that. How can we best prepare ourselves for these events? Judgment. And Page of Swords. Okay. So there's so many different ways to interpret this Lenormand spread here, but I'm going to go with what I'm feeling here. So in terms of what to expect, I think the bottom line is something that you're expecting to come may not come, or it may be blocked at this time. So something you're expecting to come through, this could be an offer, an invitation, a document. It could be some type of notification you're expecting. It's delayed in some way. And what's happening here is I'm getting this idea of social pressure, like social, this could be like a social backlash to that, some type of thing that you're dealing with. So let's say you were expecting a promotion at work or something and it's not coming, right? Let's just say that that's what it is. This is saying like, well, maybe you told people that you were expecting this, and now there's this tension that's there from your social scene. This could be from your family, from your friends, from different things like that. This could be maybe you were expecting something to come through maybe for your work, and now it's not, and now your workplace is like, excuse me, where is that, right? Some type of social pressure in response to that. And now it feels like the attention is on how we are standing now, like how we are standing. So this could be what our social standing is, how we stack up socially, and the attention is on that. The attention could be on how this affects our larger network of people, including our organizations that we're a part of things like that, right? So I feel, for some reason, I keep getting the feeling of pressure with this whip. That's not normally how I would interpret that, but there's something about this, the garden whip, and then also the mountain here, looking at how that's all influencing this, that I'm getting that. And as we look at the tarot cards that we drew Judgment, and we also drew Page of Swords. And what I'm getting here is that when I think Judgment, I think about rebirth. I think about becoming new again, about rising to occasions. And something I'm seeing here is that really we are being reborn all the time, right? We may have been expecting something different. We may have been expecting things to go a different way for us. But the good news is that we can adapt to any situation. We can adapt. And I see the Page of Swords of thinking on your feet, but I also see it as not putting up all of your walls, right? And I'm kind of seeing here with the Tower in here that there may be a tendency, if eyes are on you about something, to kind of put up all of your defenses. And with the Page of Swords, it's like, do we really have to put up all of those defenses that we have? Are we able to lower them? Are we able to come to a situation where we can be, where we have the flexibility and being able to adapt to whatever is in front of us, and letting go of maybe what we thought we would be in a particular situation, or how we thought we would have handled this, or what we thought should have occurred? Can we let go of that? Can we let that old part of us go? And can we embrace a new part of us that is presenting itself? We have to relinquish part of our ego and know that it's going to do what it's going to do, right? Let it do its thing, let it throw its tantrums, whatever. But if we have that spiritual presence of mind, you know, these events that could occur, these events out of nowhere, are kind of, I see this like angel as trumpeting. It's like, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity to be a different person here. I'm giving you the opportunity to be flexible, to be nimble, to be reborn in this situation. Will you take it? But in order to do that, we can't have all these defenses up, well, this isn't my fault, and well, I did the best I could. This isn't my fault that this happened. It's this person's fault. All those types of defenses that we tend to put up for ourselves. Can you lower them and accept what is being given here? And can you be flexible and be reborn to this moment? Gosh, this is hard for this for this pile here. But I know, like, some people, when they watch my readings, I get comments and things like that saying, oh, this feels negative. This is not negative. Like, I really don't feel like this is a negative thing that's occurring here. And if you watch the previous reading, we were talking a lot about non-duality. Please don't take this as this is a negative thing that's going to happen here, because it seems like you're being awakened here. This is an awakening moment. And even though for some folks this might be challenging, it could be something really cool that happens. Maybe you weren't expecting something, but now that the attention is coming onto you or onto, you know, organizations and social groups and things that you're a part of, maybe something new is going to come through that you weren't expecting, and it's a really positive thing. So I always fear that people are going to watch these things and think that it's all doom and gloom, but that's not what's happening here. You have the opportunity to be reborn in this moment, and this is asking, will you take it? So the next thing that I want to know is, since this is big mama stuff, I was not kidding when I said that these are some big concepts. What will anchor you through this experience? So this is like a mantra, a saying, a thought, a belief, an idea, maybe even physical people that could help you through this. Let's see what comes up here. Okay. So we have Nine of Cups reversed, Page of Cups. And then I also want to pull a card from the modern Nirvana Oracle, my current deck obsession for the moment. And we'll see what comes up for you as well here. Let's see, I really feel like it's, ooh, assertiveness, ooh. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe these cards for what we just drew. Even though I'm a professional card reader, it never ceases to blow my mind. So for these two here, Nine of Cups, to start with, Nine of Cups when it's reversed is saying there's too much of something right now. So I feel like these events that are going to happen are going to give you the opportunity to right the scales. There's too much happening of one thing. There's, you know, this could be like the scales aren't balanced. There might be too much work going on. There could be too much of something. It could be anything in your life. There's too much of it. And this is kind of giving you the opportunity to right the scales. And what this is saying, like what this is making way for, what all this stuff is making way for, is creativity. There's this sense of this creative wonder that I think is going to come up. And also, like, how funny, because I think about this cup like almost like this fish just came from the sky or just popped up out of the water, and he's like, well, this is in my cup now. What am I going to do with it? That's exactly the feeling of this whole reading. And it's this playful energy too that's kind of coming through. It's not this sense of, oh no, you know, this foreboding. It's this sense of, wow, this is here. What am I going to do with it? That's the feeling. And that whatever is happening so you can rebalance the scales. And oh my gosh, I drew this assertiveness card the other day, and boy, is this relevant. I almost want to just read you this quote. I'm going to say his name wrong. Jiddu Krishnamurti is where it comes from. And the quote for this card is, "One is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end." Oh my goodness, does that not make so much sense? And also with the Nine of Cups reversed here too, I think that if we had this upright, this is what is known, being content with what is known, with what is here. He's alone in a room, all his cups are stacked up, he's very proud of them. Reversed, everything is kind of shifting around. And it's also the idea of too much, right? So what's interesting about this is it's like the known, there's a piece of the known that's coming to an end. Not everything, but a piece of the known. And what we are being asked to do is to find ourselves in a situation and take it, right? Take the situation that's in front of us, run with it, do what we need to do with it. And this is also sometimes we want to shrink when uncertainty comes our way, and this assertiveness card is like, this is the time to step
up. This is the time to step up, to stand in your power, and to be who you are. This is the time to step up. This is the time to really see kind of what you're made of, and to allow yourself the flexibility of mind, body, and spirit to take on whatever is coming up, and also to make the best out of whatever comes your way. I also see this card as showing up and knowing that you are worth being present, that you are worth being taken seriously, and that you completely count, that you deserve to have your voice come out, to be heard, your ideas matter. That is what's coming up here.
If you enjoyed this reading and you are looking for a more personalized reading, looking into your own life, into specific situations, life purpose, general direction, things like that, then you are welcome to request a reading with me. I am accepting new clients at this time. You can request it at emilyrosedivination.com/offerings. I've also linked it down below in the description. In terms of what you can expect from a reading, sometimes they do go to this direction where it's just so spiritual in nature, depending on where you're at. Sometimes they get really granular too, and we can really dig into specific situations in your life. Just depends on what you're looking for and what comes through in the reading. I would love to know what you thought of this video. How did this resonate for you? And do you want more videos like this on this channel? I would love to know. I felt like this almost wasn't even a choice for me. I felt like Spirit Source just kind of grabbed me and was like, hey, you need to do this today. So I did. But if you want more of this type of video, if you want more readings like this, let me know. That would be very helpful to get a sense of how you resonated with it. And I think others that are watching this, it would be great to know how it's resonating for others as well. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.